Davy Crockett ran for Congress. And he won in a landslide. Andrew Jackson ran for president for the second time and beat President John Quincy Adams. After his inauguration, the White House was packed full of common people.
Each and every one of you men are responsible for this victory. To you. To you, Mr. President.
The new Whig Party attracted an eclectic mix of members, including Southerners fighting for states' rights, nationalists, agriculturalists, and Northern free trade capitalists, and a host of others, all unified in their dislike for Andrew Jackson.
Jackson introduced the Indian Removal Act,
to the horror of his old rival, Davy Crockett.
Fellow citizens of the Senate, of the House of Representatives, it gives me pleasure to announce to you that the benevolent policy in relation to the removal of the remaining Indians beyond the white settlements by fair exchange is approaching a happy consummation. The general government kindly offers him a new home and proposes to pay the whole expense of his removal and settlement.
50,000 Native Americans were forced from their homes and taken to their new homes. Most supported the act, but not Crockett.
4 of my counties border Chickasaw country. I know, personally, many of their tribe. They are a proud people who have stood as our allies in war and in peace. There is nothing that will make me vote to force them off their homelands. Not a political party, nor any one man, no matter how powerful he may be.
Congress debated the act for 5 months. Congress voted in favor of the act.
The Trail of Tears was the migration route from Georgia to territory west of the Mississippi River.
The Chickasaw tribe signed the agreement. The Choctaw tribe also agreed to relocate peacefully.
While most of the tribe relocated, certain Native Americans attempted to stay behind and become American citizens. Unfortunately, white settlers refused to accept their Indian brethren as equal and pursued tactics to drive them off the land. The War Department attempted to help, but did not have the power to curb white supremacy.
The Creeks were given land in Alabama.
But Lewis Cass, the Secretary of State, forced them to leave across the Mississippi.
The Seminoles declared the Indian Removal Act illegal. Jackson tried to force them to leave, which started the Second Seminole War in 1835.
The first major battle of the Seminole War was the Dade Massacre. About 100 men marched to Florida to fight. There they were ambushed by around 200 Seminoles. They retreated and chopped down trees for cover. Only 2 men survived. The United States public was outraged. General Gaines and his men went to Florida to recover the dead bodies and to find the hidden Seminoles. They found the dead bodies, but they did not find the Seminole warriors. One of their leaders, Lieutenant Izard, died. Different generals tried to lure the Seminoles out of their hiding places, but they weren't very successful. The Seminoles used guerrilla warfare tactics very well with the thick forests. In addition, the American soldiers were very sick and hungry. Finally, when General Thomas Jessup was put in charge, they began to have success. He used Seminole-like guerrilla warfare tactics. He even attacked villages, men, women, children. Jessup began to have so much success that Osceola agreed to meet with him. It was a trick. he put him in prison. People of the U.S. were angry about what Jessup did to Osceola. The Seminole leader died in prison. The Second Seminole War went on, but that's a good summary of what happened so far while Andrew Jackson was in office. Over the next 2 decades, over 16,000 Native Americans died on the journey. I am David Walker. I am against sending our people to other countries to make black colonies. We are more American than anybody else because we have worked the land more than anybody else. Violence might be necessary to gain our freedom. We must fight for our freedom. Walker's publications were burned in the South, as was other abolitionist literature. Many people in the South did not want to pay certain tariffs because they felt they were unfair. The unpopular tariffs started under President John Quincy Adams in 1828. President Jackson surprised people when he supported the tariffs. Vice President John C. Calhoun was against them. He felt that states have a right to nullify or ignore federal laws if they disagreed with them. Daniel Webster argued against nullification.
Each state interpreting constitutional law, each with the power to decide for itself, and none with the authority to bind anybody else. The federal union becomes a rope of sand.
Order, I say. Order, gentlemen. Order. 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 Our union, it must be preserved.
I have resigned as Vice President of the United States. We, the people of South Carolina, have declared the tariff of 1828 and 1832 to be unconstitutional and therefore null and void. The people of South Carolina will proceed to organize a separate government.
I'll hang Calhoun. I'll hang them all and get me troops. Let I'll march 100,000 men into South Carolina.
When Jackson and Calhoun brought in respected statesman Henry Clay, unity is more important than tariffs. And so a compromise was reached. Northerners accepted lower tariffs, and Southerners remained in the Union.
Davy Crockett was not re-elected. Andrew Jackson did not like the National Bank because he felt it was corrupt and unconstitutional. Andrew Jackson ran for re-election against Henry Clay, who had the favor of Biddle, the head of the National Bank. Henry Clay and Biddle made a plan to beat Andrew Jackson. Congress passed a bill to renew the National Bank. They passed it 4 years before its expiration. They felt that if Jackson vetoed it, it would make him not get reelected. Jackson vetoed the bill.
It turned out that Jackson's veto was a popular move, and Jackson coasted to re-election.
Andrew Jackson
was able to not only destroy the U.S. Bank, but pay off the national debt
by taking all funds from the bank and selling federal land. because he sided with the Indians. And President Jackson fought against him.
You come to Texas. Timber, water, game, cattle. More land than you can possibly imagine.
Sam, you figure this new republic's gonna need a president?
Patres y sobre los de ellos, los suyos. ¿Y está Houston con ellos?
No, Excelencia.
Él vendrá. Así solo sea por salvar su reputación. ¿Y ese Jim Bowie, el de la navaja?
Dentro de la misión. Y alguien más de reconocimiento. El diputado Davy Crockett.
¿Crockett? ¿El cazador de osos?
Así es, Su Alteza.
¡Ah, excelente!
If anyone wishes to depart, under the white flag of surrender, you may do so now.
Ni un solo prisionero.
Everybody that was in the Alamo died, as far as we know.
General, tenemos informes del movimiento de tropas. Houston está a menos de 2 leguas de acá. Salgamos inmediatamente a perseguir ese cobarde. Señor, él nos está retirando. Él viene hacia acá.
For today, remember the Alamo! Yeah, is at hand! Long range! Oh!
Santa Anna's army was defeated in 18 minutes.
Let's kill him and be done with it. I say we hang him from this very tree.
No. You'll settle for blood. I want Texas.
In exchange for his life, Santa Anna signed over all Mexican rights to Texas. 9 years after the fall of the Alamo, Texas became the 28th state of the United States.
Against his wife Louisa's advice, in fact, against the advice of practically everyone he knew, he ran for Congress in 1830. Adams was Congress's most outspoken opponent of slavery. Pro-slavery enemies tried to shut him up, literally. They imposed the infamous gag rule in 1836 to prevent any discussion of the slavery issue on the House floor.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
The chair recognizes Representative Pinckney of South Carolina.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to be recognized. Mr. Speaker.
The peculiar institution of the South, that in which the very existence of the slaveholding states depends, is a subject beyond the jurisdiction of Congress. And Congress has no right to touch it in any shape or form, or to make it a subject for deliberation or discussion.
Mr. Speaker, you would crush the freedom of speech in the very House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, I demand to be...
You are out of order. Mr. Adams, you have been once the President of the United States, and as such you have the respect of the House. Do not jeopardize it with your outbursts.
Mr. Speaker, I demand... for a vote. Am I gagged, Mr. Speaker? Am I gagged?
The motion is not debatable.
You're out of order. Speaker. Take your seat. Mr. Speaker.
The motion is not debatable.
No debate, sir.
Order.
Take your seat, Mr. Adams. I hold the resolution to be in direct violation of the Constitution of the United States.
For the next 8 years, the infamous gag rule will forbid the very discussion of slavery in the House of Representatives. And for the next 8 years, John Quincy Adams will stubbornly refuse to be silenced.